Animated story: Moses, prison, fate, and freedom. A dusty desert prison at sunset. There is a solitary figure sitting on the ground in a small, stone-walled cell. His face is rugged, weary, but his eyes burn with an intense, unshakable resolve. Moses sits silently, his head resting in his hand. The sound of distant wind sweeps through the barren desert. The sun dips below the horizon.
This is not where it begins, but it's where they told me my story would end. 10 years. 10 years in this stone cage. My hands were shackled, my heart bruised, but my spirit was never bound. The name they gave me in this place was nothing more than a prisoner. But who I truly was, no one knew that yet. Let me take you back.
Flashback scene of a young Moses, confident and strong, leading a group of people, showing his leadership qualities. But then abruptly, the scene shifts to betrayal.
I had once been a prince of Egypt, a man of power, of influence, until I made a mistake, a choice that would change everything. I saw a Hebrew slave being beaten by an Egyptian. I couldn't just stand by. I fought back. And that day, my world changed. For my own people, I was a hero. For Egypt, I was a fugitive. So I ran.
Moses, alone, trekking through the harsh desert. His clothes are ragged, his body exhausted, but there's determination in his eyes.
The desert was relentless. But I found refuge in a place that would change the course of my life. A place where my destiny was quietly waiting for me.
Moses reaches the land of Midian, where he meets the daughters of Jethro, a priest. A particular woman, Zipporah, stands out among the others. She looks strong, graceful, with striking features, her natural hair flowing freely in the wind. Moses watches her as she moves, unbothered by the scorching desert heat.
There in Midian, I found a new life. And her, Zipporah. At first, she was just another face in the crowd. But the moment I saw her, I knew my fate was tied to hers. We didn't speak much at first, but there was something in her eyes, a strength, a wisdom. It was as if she had already known the trials I had faced.
Moses and Zipporah meet in the desert near a well. Zipporah is being harassed by some shepherds at a well, and Moses steps in, standing firm and protecting her.
I didn't know it then, but that was the moment my life would truly begin. I defended her from those men, and even though we barely spoke, it felt like an eternity. Zipporah, she didn't need saving. She was already strong. But that day I saw something deeper in her, something I had been searching for in myself. But before any of that, before Zipporah, before the freedom I longed for, there was the prison, a place of darkness where hope seemed to die with every passing day. I was imprisoned not by iron chains but by fear, doubt, and the weight of my past decisions.
He sits in silence, lost in thought, his hands rough and calloused, his fingers tracing invisible patterns on the stone wall.
And yet, as the years went by, I realized this prison, it wasn't my end. It was just another beginning. They didn't know who I really was. They couldn't see the leader I would become. But soon, they would. The Hebrew God would show himself.
Moses standing up in his cell, his posture changing from one of defeat to quiet confidence.
So while they saw me as a prisoner, I saw myself as a man with a destiny. My chains would be broken by God. He has me here for a time. And when that day comes, I will meet Zipporah, and we will walk into a new life together. But first, you need to understand why I am here. Let me take you back 40 years ago.
The story of Moses' rise, fall, and reflections.
This is not where it begins, but this is where I am now. My story began long before this. It started in the courts of Pharaoh and in the land of Cush. Let me take you back to when I was a king, back to when Egypt feared me, and when my own heart was torn between duty and destiny.
Moses, king of Cush. The scene transitions to a vibrant kingdom, the land of Cush. Moses, dressed in royal attire with his crown upon his head, sits on a grand throne. The people cheer as he makes just and righteous decisions in the court. The streets are bustling, the sun is high, and the people of Cush are thriving under his reign. Moses is well loved and respected.
I ruled over the land of Cush for 40 years. Did you know that? Have you ever read my works, the book of Jasher? I was a king, a servant, a protector. The people loved me, and I them, but I was not one of their own. I was raised by Pharaoh's daughter, a prince of Egypt, but not truly Egyptian.
There is a close-up of Moses' face, his expression hardening as he recalls his internal struggle. He imagines glimpses of his upbringing in Egypt, raised in Pharaoh's palace, torn between two worlds. The Queen's challenge. Inside the royal palace of Cush, Queen Adonijah stands before Moses, her voice sharp and accusatory. The nobles gather around, their faces a mix of confusion and tension.
It wasn't always easy, even in Cush. The Queen Adonijah questioned my loyalty. I had not married her, nor had I served their gods. I was different, a foreigner, and yet I ruled over them justly.
Adonijah steps forward, her eyes piercing as she speaks in front of the court.
For 40 years you have ruled us, Moses, but you have never embraced our ways. You do not belong to us, and now it is time for my son to take the throne. The people will be better off serving one of their own bloodline, not a stranger from Egypt.
The nobles murmur in agreement, some uneasy but unwilling to speak against her. Moses listens with a calm but conflicted expression. Moses' forced exile from Cush. Moses packing his belongings in a modest sack, preparing to leave the palace. The once thriving kingdom now feels like a distant memory, and the people of Cush gather to send him off with gifts, showing their respect but also their fear.
The people of Cush feared me. They knew that if I wanted, I could take the throne back. But they also respected me enough to let me go. And I left, with nothing but honor and gifts. But in my heart, I knew something greater was coming.
Moses walking across the desert landscape, where Moses sets out alone, leaving Cush behind. Moses meets the daughters of Reuel. Moses in the dry, rugged terrain of Midian.
A man with a past I couldn't outrun.
Moses imprisoned by Reuel. As Moses sits down with Reuel, the two speak quietly. The conversation grows tense as Reuel's expression shifts from kindness to suspicion. Moses explains his past, his time in Egypt, his reign in Cush, and why he had to leave.
But Reuel, wise and cautious, did not trust me. He feared the political implications of helping a former king of Cush. So he did what he thought was best. He imprisoned me. And for 10 long years, I was a prisoner in the land of Midian.
His eyes are heavy, but there is a fire inside him that will not be extinguished. Please like and subscribe for more content. The story was brought to you by the Book of Jasher, chapter 76 and 77.